Top 10 longest lasting fragrances for the fall and winter. This is going to be the niche edition. Of course, I looked at my collection and I said, what are 10 fragrances that give me exceptional, extraordinary longevity? And I'm talking 12 plus hours. A lot of these might be 10 or 11 hours. I know it's negligible and it's all going to be contingent upon your skin chemistry. But one thing is for certain, all of these are incredibly long lasting, and I'm super excited to share this list with you in just a moment. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on these 10 incredibly long-lasting niche fragrances, all super ideal for the fall and winter, you're going to notice there's going to be a lot of woods, there's going to be a lot of spices, and the concentration for a lot of these is amped up. So you're going to see a lot of extrait de parfum fragrances making their way onto this list. But before I start the video, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, and of course, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me. So this is not a sponsored video, but my friends at ScentSplit do have samples of a lot of these fragrances. Get yourself a sample, please. Get a decant. I can't tell you how many times, yes, I've had people comment on my videos and they say, I sampled this or I purchased this on your recommendation and I fell in love with it. But occasionally I'll get the comments of people who are like, hey, this didn't work with my skin chemistry, or I was expecting it to smell a little different. So please, please, please sample whenever appropriate, and it's always appropriate. Please always sample, especially when we're dealing with niche fragrances that sell for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's not wise to blind buy, because then you're going to be left with something that you don't necessarily love. You might like it, but you don't love it. The first one I want to talk about is Intense Red Tobacco. Now, you know red tobacco, the honey, the warm richness, the amber, the spices. Well, there's the intense version, which I acquired a few months ago. And this one always gets the job done. I mean, the original is intense enough as far as I'm concerned. So I was really impressed by how they took that DNA and concentrated it even further to create even more of a projection beast. Now, by Bond Number 9, they do have some really long-lasting fragrances. Other fragrances like Eau de New York, and I'm sure there are many others that have been discontinued, but this one is New York Oud, right? And this one, and I always have to remind myself of the concentration, it is Eau de Parfum, not Extrait de Parfum. But let me tell you something, this fragrance is a floral oud with spice, right? So this one, I actually, believe it or not, I purchased this one at TJ Maxx. And I got a really good deal for it. And I said, okay, like this is not half bad. And it's one of those fragrances, I'm going to be honest with you, I have to be in the mood to wear it. It is super strong. And of course, more often than not, I would say, whenever you put agarwood in a fragrance, the expectation is that it's going to perform really well. And this one does. The next brand is BDK Parfum. Now, Velvet Tonka does really well on my skin. Oud Abramad does very well on my skin. Rouge Smoking does very well. Gris Charnel Extrait, Possessoir Extrait, and Wood Jasmine, which is this resinous plum fragrance. That brand manufactures some fragrances that perform really, really, really well, unless it's something like Citrus Riviera or Celle d'Argent, which gives me decent performance, but it's nothing compared to the likes of Vanille Leather. So again, the Leather Accord is really, really smooth, really velvety, and it's made so agreeable and genial by the use of vanilla, right? So it's not going to be like one of these rough and tumble, heavy-handed leather fragrances, and I actually have a few on this list, believe it or not, and I'll let you know what they are as I reveal them. Okay, I'm not going to reveal the next leather fragrance yet, but the next one is Black Phantom, Memento Mori. So this is by Kilian Paris. This is a gorgeous chocolate fragrance. Perfect for this time of the year. Like, all of these are fall and winter recommendations, obviously, but if you have an appreciation for some of the more gourmand leaning fragrances on the market, please check this out. My bottle does look a little bit different from the standard presentation just because I do have the 15-year anniversary special edition, the collector's edition, and this is bottle 189 out of 1,000. So they made only 1,000 of these. I knew I had to get one because I am a collector and, you know, I like spending my money frivolously sometimes. Anyway, Apex Parfum by Roja Parfum. So Roja Parfum makes some really incredibly long-lasting fragrances, everything from Manhattan to Creation E, and even some of their fresher offerings give me some really good performance. And of course, I always got very good performance with, fragrances like Danger and Scandal, but this is the longest lasting Roja Parfum fragrance ever. It's a spicy, aromatic fragrance, so smooth, so easy to wear. But again, you have to be light on the trigger, right? This is no slouch in the performance department, 12 plus hours. And there was one time, this is a bit anecdotal, but I'd like to share it with you. My friend Gary came over and we're in my studio and we sprayed a bunch of fragrances. I leave the room. I come back 5 minutes later. I think I went to go make myself a cup of coffee or something. I come back 5 minutes later, and of the 50 plus fragrances that were sprayed that day, this is the only one that I was able to smell. It was totally pervasive. I mean, it just overshadowed everything else. It's incredible. If you're a fan of spicy fragrances, we have a gem of a fragrance here. This one by Fulton and Rourke. This one is called Highway 190. Composed by Hamid Merati Kashani, who did Leighton Exclusive, Oriana, and many other Marley fragrances. This one actually smells, between us, smells a little bit like Haultain by Parfum de Marly. It has that cypriol, spicy, sweet kind of a thing happening in here. You might hear my dog barking in the background. I do apologize. But this is a beautiful fragrance. Although it has a floral personality, there's a touch of freesia in there, and it really just opens up the perfume, makes it a bit more diffusive, but the spices in here are really something interesting. Now, this next one is brand new, and I wasn't expecting that from this brand. This one is Dear Karma by the House of Oud. This is a spicy rose fragrance. It has a lot of amber, it has a lot of incense, and by spice, I mean saffron. You're not really going to get anything else save the saffron. You are going to get a bit of absinthe, which gives it a bit of an herbal vibe. Not too much, though. You're going to get this leathery saffron and rose. It's going to put you in the mindset of fragrances like Ombre Nomade by Louis Vuitton. It's also going to remind you of fragrances like Producer Michael by Fragrance du Bois. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, spicy rose with tons of leather. And this is the other leather fragrance that I was alluding to in contrast to Vanille Leather by BDK Parfum. Now we have this beautiful coffee and amber fragrance from the Italian brand Meo Fusciuni. This one is called Little Song. I think I purchased this when I was in Spain many, many years ago. What a gorgeous fragrance. Incredible. I love the ambery tendencies in that one as well. If you're looking for the longest lasting incense fragrance, it was Unum Labs by Filippo Sorcinelli, another Italian brand. And I, historically on the channel, I've been saying that's the longest lasting incense fragrance, especially when you're dealing with that high quality church incense, frankincense, all Labanum. Well, there's something else that takes the proverbial cake now, and it's Encens Suave Extrait by Matière Première. I'm sorry, nothing beats that as far as longevity is concerned. Now, if you're looking for one of the longest lasting fragrances that you could possibly purchase in the fall and winter, if you're looking for a fragrance that's going to last on your skin and clothing for days and days and days, and no, that is not hyperbole, the longevity on this one is nuclear. You really have to try this for yourself, and everybody who has tried it are going to be nodding their head in about 10 seconds like, yep, this one does indeed last a very long amount of time. It's one of those fragrances where you can't change your mind. Once you spray it on, it's a commitment. By Maison Francis Kurkdjian, this one is Oud Extrait de Parfum. Doesn't matter if you get satin mood, silk mood, any of the ouds. If we're talking the extracts, you're not going to get it off your skin. Let me know, what are the longest lasting fall and winter fragrances for you? Skin chemistry is different with some exceptions. I mean, no matter who wears this, you're not going to get it off. But, you know, what are the longest lasting fragrances for you? I would love to hear from you. Drop your comment down below. And of course, if you took anything of value from today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up. It would really mean a lot to me. So thanks again so much for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.